Dunk hesitates for half a breath before mounting his horse, and it is almost invisible unless you are watching closely. His hand lifts to adjust the strap of his battered helmet, fingers pressing against dented metal that has already seen more violence than most men survive. The camera does something very deliberate here. It does not rush. It lingers just long enough for us to see his reflection, warped and stretched across the curved steel. The image is distorted, unfamiliar. It does not look like a knight. It looks like a boy trying to remember who he is supposed to be. That reflection is not about nerves. Dunk has fought before. He understands bruises, blood, and broken bones. The hesitation is about identity. For a split second, the man in the armor and the boy from Flea Bottom occupy the same frame. The past bleeds into the present without warning. The metal becomes a mirror, and what it reflects is not honor. It reflects survival. This episode feels claustrophobic, even when it opens into wide tournament grounds. The sky is open, the field is vast. Nobles gather in colorful silks, and yet everything feels tight, compressed, almost suffocating. That feeling begins in the flashbacks. Flea Bottom is not presented as dramatic misery. It is sticky, narrow, airless. The alleyways feel like they close in on young Dunk as he moves through them. There was a tracking shot that follows him down one of those alleys without cutting. It is technically precise and emotionally uncomfortable. The walls are too close. The noise is constant. You can almost smell the damp wood and rot. Young Dunk moves differently in these scenes. His shoulders are hunched. His eyes never stop scanning. He calculates exits the way other children calculate games. He is not dreaming of knighthood. He is measuring risk. In the present timeline, adult Dunk stands too tall. His posture is almost exaggerated. His back is straight in a way that feels practiced. He is performing knighthood with his body before he even speaks. The contrast is painful. The boy learned to shrink to survive. The man forces himself to expand to belong. And belonging is the real battlefield here. In Flea Bottom, Dunk was invisible, just another hungry kid blending into the grime. No one judged him because no one noticed him. In the tournament grounds, everyone is watching. Nobles measure him with their eyes. The faith observes him with ritual seriousness. Even the other knights glance at him not as a peer, but as a question mark. He is no longer invisible. He is under examination.
This episode refuses to romanticize that past. Survival is not framed as noble, it is framed as ugly. Young Dunk is not charming in his struggle, he is sharp, defensive, ready to lie if he needs to, ready to run if he must. The show does not soften the hunger in his eyes. It makes it clear that growing up in Flea Bottom required performance. You had to appear tougher than you were, faster than you felt, crueler than you wanted to be. Which brings us back to the helmet. That battered helmet is not just a relic from a battlefield. It feels like Dunk's first conscious lie. Not a lie told to others, a lie told to himself. When he puts it on, he is not just protecting his head, he is reinforcing a story. I am a knight. I belong here. I deserve this armor. But the reflection says something else. In the flashbacks, friendships feel fragile, almost transactional. Kids align for safety, not loyalty. You share food because tomorrow you might need protection. You trust only as far as necessity allows. The episode plants small moments that feel unresolved. A glance between Dunk and another boy. A cutaway before a confrontation finishes. A silence where explanation should be. It suggests that something happened back there that still echoes. Chivalry, then, starts to look less like purity and more like penance. Dunk clings to knightly ideals with an intensity that borders on desperation. He does not speak about honor casually. He holds on to it like a lifeline. That kind of devotion often hides guilt. It raises a question the episode never states outright but keeps circling. Is he trying to become a better man, or is he trying to outrun a worse one? The structure of the episode reinforces this internal conflict. The dual timelines echo stories like The Godfather Part 2, where origins are not backstory but explanation. The past is not there to decorate the present, it is there to complicate it. Every time Dunk prepares for the trial by 7, the show quietly reminds us of the boy who learned that rules bend for the powerful and break for the weak. There are shades here of stories about reinvention.
of men who attempt to bury violent beginnings beneath new codes. But reinvention is never clean. It leaves stains, and this episode understands that deeply. The armor shines in the sun, but the memory underneath it does not. When the trial by 7 approaches, the atmosphere shifts. The crowd gathers with a kind of ritual excitement. The faith speaks of truth and innocence in controlled, measured language. Their words are polished, ceremonial, but we have already seen enough of this world to know that justice and performance often blur together. The pre-fight prayer sequence is one of the most controlled moments in the episode. Crowd noise fades almost completely. Instead, we hear breathing layered softly over the creak of leather and the distant clink of armor. The sound design creates a vacuum. It feels like the air has been sucked out of the field. For a moment, the world narrows to heartbeat and breath. Dunk does not look triumphant. He looks focused, not on glory, on legitimacy. There is something deeply uncomfortable about watching someone fight, not just for justice, but for the right to exist in a space that was never built for them. When the crowd goes silent before the charge, the tension is not about who will land the first blow. It is about whether Dunk's constructed identity will survive impact. Because in Westeros, perception is power. If his past becomes public ammunition, his knighthood could unravel faster than any armor strap. And the episode plants that possibility carefully. Certain looks from certain nobles linger too long. Certain questions are asked too casually. Flea Bottom is mentioned just enough times to remind us that origins can be weaponized. A knight from nowhere is a threat not because of strength, but because he disrupts hierarchy. My strongest prediction is that the consequences of this trial will be political, not just physical. Even victory will cost him. Aligning with specific knights during the trial by 7 will create enemies among powerful.
There is a reason the episode emphasizes perception so heavily. Long glances, quiet conversations, lingering shots of observers. Power here is not only in swords, it is in stories. If the story shifts from honorable knight to slum-born imposter, doors close quickly. And yet, there is something deeply human about his struggle. He is not trying to conquer kingdoms. He is trying to deserve his armor. That motivation makes him relatable in a way many characters in this universe are not. Ambition can be cold. The pursuit of worth is raw. It is vulnerable. It makes people overextend. It makes them volunteer for battles they could avoid, simply to silence the voice that says they do not belong. The visual language reinforces this internal cage. Bars appear in background frames. Gate shadows stretch across faces. Visors slice the screen into narrow strips. Even when Dunk stands in open air, something in the composition boxes him in. The message is clear. Identity can trap you as effectively as poverty once did. And then there is the faith. Their ritual language about innocence and truth sounds pure, but purity in this world is performative. The trial by 7 does not remove politics, it sanctifies it. It wraps power consolidation in divine vocabulary. Whether Dunk wins or loses, the faith strengthens its authority simply by hosting the spectacle. So was the trial about justice, or was it about reminding everyone who controls the definition of justice? That ambiguity lingers long after the swords stop moving. What struck me most by the end of the episode was not relief or triumph, it was tension that did not fully release. Even if Dunk stands victorious, the boy from Flea Bottom has not disappeared. He is still there, reflected faintly in the helmet. The distortion remains. And that is the core of Episode 5. Hesitates at the wrong second because the boy from Flea Bottom resurfaces. There is a moment when he is knocked to the ground, and for half a breath, the world feels smaller again. The open field disappears, the noise blurs, the angle of the shot mirrors the alleyway tracking scene from his childhood. Bodies move around him like walls closing in. It is subtle, but intentional. The past is not gone. It waits for impact. This is why I do not think Dunk's greatest enemy is any knight across the field. It is the possibility that he will revert, that under enough pressure, survival instinct will override chivalry.
And if that happens in front of nobles in the faith, the performance collapses. Because that is what knighthood has become for him, a performance with stakes too high to fail. The episode carefully avoids making him flawless. He fights hard, but not elegantly. He takes hits. He reacts instead of dominating. There is weight to every movement, as if the armor is heavier than it should be. That weight feels symbolic. He is carrying more than steel. He is carrying narrative. In stories about redemption, we often expect a clean arc, a past mistake, a present correction, a triumphant validation. This episode resists that simplicity. Even if Dunk wins, nothing feels fully resolved. Victory here would not erase Flea Bottom. It would only delay confrontation. Politically, this trial is a spotlight, and spotlights do not just illuminate strength, they reveal cracks. If powerful houses see Dunk as useful, they will attempt to claim him. If they see him as unpredictable, they will isolate him. Either way, he becomes a piece on a board much larger than himself. And the tragedy of someone chasing worth is that they often say yes to spaces that will eventually consume them. There is also something unsettling about how easily the crowd accepts the outcome, whatever it may be. The faith declares meaning, the nobles nod, the ritual ends, order is restored. But we have seen enough to understand that justice here is theatrical. It consolidates belief more than it uncovers truth. Which brings us back to the central question. Does Dunk truly believe in the knightly code? I think he wants to. I think he needs to. But belief built on necessity is fragile. If someone from his childhood stepped forward and exposed a morally gray act, would we see the knight differently? Would he? Westeros is a world obsessed with lineage. Names carry history. Sigils carry power. Dunk has neither. He has constructed himself from scraps, and that makes him uniquely vulnerable. One rumor, one whisper, one resurfaced witness from Flea Bottom, and his entire identity could tilt.